Continuing with the 60th anniversary season for the ARCA Racing Series, and it's a short track that we stop at tonight. Lucas Oil Raceway here in Claremont, Indiana, about 7 miles from the big track, but it's short track racing for the ARCA Racing Series tonight. Now it's the cornfields of Indiana that surround this short track.
This racetrack is almost 7/10 of a mile, but the straightaways are really short and the corners are really long. In order to pass, you're going to have to go down to the bottom, but it's very, very difficult to make that pass, so you can see a lot of banging off the corner. You don't want to miss this now. This is going to be exciting.
Lucas Oil Raceway is the side of this one. We will be bumping and banging here on Speed. 35 cars getting ready for the Messina Wildlife Animal Stopper 200. Lucas Oil Raceway. It's always fun to go short track racing, and especially on such a beautiful evening. 83 degrees, partly cloudy. It is great racing under the lights tonight. Hello everyone, Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, and Justin Allgaier is joining us tonight to call this short track race. Phil, we always talk about the diversity that the ARCA Racing Series faces, and right now we're in quite a stretch.
We are, and this is probably the most diverse series anywhere in the country, and they're in the middle of a 13-race and 14-week season where they're on a short track, they're on road courses, they're on super speedway, mile and a halves, and they come here to Claremont, Indiana to a little under a 7/10 of a mile short track. But I'm telling you, the action is so severe here, you don't want to miss a second.
Yeah, and amazingly enough, we come to a lot of short tracks with the ARCA Racing Series, but Justin, it seems like this one is harder to pass for these guys. Why?
Yeah, this racetrack's really, really difficult. The preferred lane is on the outside, so you're going to want to get, to be out there and to be in the fast lane. Unfortunately, to pass somebody, you're going to have to get to the bottom, and there's a lot less banking down there. You're going to have to, do whatever you can to be able to get by those guys.
Now, in this field tonight, we have Matt Crafton, who's a regular in the Camping World Truck Series. He's going to start on the pole tonight. Matt's not going to have to worry about it, but what about the guys that are trying to get up to the front? Do you use the bumper early and often here?
Absolutely. You're going to want to use the bumper early to get the track position. Track position here is huge.
Maybe the side.
Maybe
use
the
whole side.
Yeah, use the whole side. 8 tires always sticks better than 4.
Exactly.
Right? But definitely are going to have to use the front bumper.
And so with Matt Crafton in the field, we've got also some young drivers that are trying to get to victory lane for the first time, and this is a great place for young drivers to get experience. But we also have the veterans in the field, like Frank Kimmel. Frank Kimmel has 75 races since the last time that he was able to visit victory lane. Could it happen tonight? He was pretty strong in practice earlier. We're about to find out. So now we go trackside for the most famous words in racing to get the engines fired. Here's tonight's command.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports, here to give the command for today's Messina Wildlife Animal Stopper 200, presented by Federated Car Care, our Grand Marshal, representing the Indianapolis West Army Recruiting Station, Larry Selke.
Drivers, start your engines.
"35 engines have come to life, and fireworks were shot off on the backstretch, but there's about to be fireworks on this half-mile racetrack. Stay with us. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is presented by Messina Wildlife Management. Stop animal damage with Messina Wildlife Management. Brought to you in part by AutoZone. For the auto parts, accessories, and advice you need, get in the zone. AutoZone. And by Menards. Save big money on your home improvement needs. Kicking off the 60th anniversary season in 2012, we like to take a look back at where this series has come from, and one of the more colorful decades was the 90s.
The 1980s were tough times for the ARCA sanction. The decade of the 90s was just the opposite. Record growth and record crowds came out to see the ARCA Gladiators duke it out on a wide variety of tracks across the country. From Michigan International Speedway to the mile dirts, people were paying attention. The Tour made history when Bobby Bowser, like his famous father before him, won a pair of national titles, becoming the only father-son ARCA champions in series history. The stock car world also got its first look at Indiana's Andy Hillenburg, who won the championship in 1995. Adam Petty's win at Charlotte in 1998 was certainly a big moment for many. The popularity of the Tour would continue to climb when a new and quite determined face emerged as champion. Coopersville, Michigan's Tim Steele, who took the series by storm as the Tour's first $1 million man, winning 3 national titles and churning out super speedway records that still stand today. The decade would also introduce another new player, one who would claim his first title in 1998 as the decade was coming to a close. Little did they know at the time that Frank Kimmel would not only become the new face of ARCA, but stack up stats never before rivaled on the championship ARCA Tour.
Continuing on with our 60th anniversary season for the ARCA Racing Series, and we want to take a look at our Menards Pull Award winner, presented by Ansel. And only fitting, it's the Menards, number 88, piloted by Matt Crafton. Grabbed his first career ARCA Racing Series pole and did it in track record fashion for the ARCA Racing Series. So we'll see how Matt Crafton does as he starts from the front tonight. Take a look at our starting lineup. It'll be Crafton and Mason Mitchell making up row number 1.
Yeah, Mason making his second career start. Great qualifying effort.
Back in row 2, Chad Hockenbrock, Kevin Swindell, our most recent winner in the series, got the big win at Chicago last week.
Matt Lofton's back in row number 3, knocking on the door. A couple of runner-up finishes already this year. And 16-year-old Eric Jones.
Continuing through our Messina Wildlife Animal Stopper starting lineup, Frank Kimmel and Mason Mingus making up row 4.
Chris Buescher and Alex Bowman back in row 5.
How big is it to start up front here, Justin? As far as track position, you talked about how difficult it is to pass.
I think it's going to be a key to tonight, because anytime you're back a couple of rows behind, you know, this start and also restarts are going to be a big deal, because it's really easy for the field to check up. There's not a whole lot of room, even though the front straightaway is fairly wide. There's not a whole lot of room to get out of the way if something does happen. And we saw a big crash here last year, that same situation on one of the restarts. So it's going to be important to be up front and keep that track position all night.
Milko Duno, Bobby Gerhardt back there in row 14, Corbin Forrester and Daryl Basham in 15.
There's Will Kimmel and 77-year-old James Hill.
That's right, a young 77-year-old Gene. And let's take a look at our Messina Wildlife Rookie Spotlight. That is going to be Jared Marks, also carrying one of our cameras. Jim.
He'll start 13th tonight, Rick, and he's just 18 years of age. He had to wait till he turned 18 on Memorial Day to race the super speedways. He finished 7th at Pocono his very first start out. He is now 12th in the points, looking for a victory here tonight. We're going green.
Green flag goes in the air. We're underway. Short track racing from Lucas Oil Raceway. A great start for Matt Crafton on the bottom of the racetrack. Chad Hockenbrock jumps in behind him as they work their way through 1 and 2.
And watch these guys fight for the outside of the racetrack. Look at Chad Hockenbrock move all the way up to the outside wall.
It's a great move by Hockenbrock to get up there and actually get that second spot. You know, typically the preferred lane is the outside here, but on a restart, you're able to use that inside line and kind of move up there in front of that guy, and that really helps out a bunch.
Mason Mitchell on the high side, working his way by Kevin Swindell in the 66. So Mason Mitchell up to the 3rd spot, but already a 4-car length lead that Crafton has over 2nd and Hockenbrock.
Eric Jones, the 55 car, has moved up to the 4th spot, all over the back of the 66 of Swindell.
And those two are teammates. We've got those two cars out of the Venturini Motorsports stable. We've got also a couple more that are in this field this weekend.
See Alex Bowman trying to make a move on the inside in the 22 car. As Justin said, this is the best your tires are going to be. If you're going to make any moves on the inside, now is probably the time to do it.
Really, so there's a different level of banking down there. So you're able to run down there for a few laps, but you're going to burn the Hoosiers off really, really quickly. And you're going to be screaming about lap 30 if you've been running down there all day. So you're going to want to get down there and get those passes made and move right up in front of the guys in front of you.
We're hearing the Mallory ignition boxes hit their chip with quite a few drivers have just passed the start-finish line.
Yeah, 8,800 RPMs is what they're limited to, and these guys will hit that chip, especially on good tires, just past the start-finish line.
One of the things that they're trying to do with that is the corners are so tight here. You want to be able to launch your car off those corners. So you're giving up the speed at the end of the straightaway, but that's okay because it's such short straightaways. You're more worried about getting off the corner. So you get the RPMs way up. You would actually probably turn these motors about 95, 9,600 RPMs if there was no rev limiter in it. So definitely, something that you're going to see variations from of different racers and their different styles.
And that's a cost-saving measure by the ARCA Racing Series. You get more RPMs, you have more breakage, more cost.
Chad Hockenbraugh has a mirror full of that 6 of Mason Mitchell. Now Mitchell looks to the inside, trying to take away the second spot.
Yeah, Mason doesn't know that it's hard to get grip down there. He just turned left and drove that thing down there. Then he found out at the exit of the corner how hard it is to complete that pass.
One of the things we're seeing right now, too, you'll notice some sparks coming out from under some of these cars. All these guys have practiced during the day. Obviously, we had some rain showers, so they didn't get their full amount of practice. But, the night conditions, the track's obviously a lot faster, so the cars are going to run a little lower, and you're going to see some sparks from it.
Here comes Mason looking to the outside now, Chad Hockenbraugh. Normally you wouldn't see a driver open up the outside line here at Lucas Oil Raceway, but Hockenbraugh running a little bit lower through 3 and 4 that last time. Now Mason Mingus looks to the inside of Hockenbraugh.
It's actually really smart what he's doing right now because even though he is a little bit lower and maybe burning the tires up just a little bit, you can see that the 6 here is obviously trying everything he can and really, really driving aggressively. And, that's probably going to pay in Chad's favor here once everything settles down.
So out in front, it's Matt Crafton. He already has a 3-second lead over Chad Hockenbraugh. Then it's Mason Mitchell running in the 3rd spot. Kevin Swindell and Eric Jones your top 5. Bowman, Lofton, Kimmel, Poole, and Mingus your top 10.
We were talking about Matt Crafton's car before we started here. That is a beautiful race car. The guys at ThorSport have built an awesome race car for him, and maybe one of the best cars he's ever driven in the ARCA Racing Series. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what he's able to do with it.
How about a great battle for second? Mason Mitchell makes the pass on Chad Hockenbraugh on the high side.
Saw him once he got to the outside. We saw how much easier it was for him to make that pass. He tried it on the inside for several laps, couldn't make it work, got to the outside, drove right by him.
Now we'll see if Mason Mitchell has anything for Matt Crafton. Just behind him, those two battling for the 4th spot. Again, teammates in the 66 and 55.
Kevin Swindell, the 66, Eric Jones in the 55. Was talking to Eric down in the garage area before qualifying and said he really had a good race car here. Really looking forward to maybe becoming the youngest driver ever in this series to win.
The Venturini Motorsports camp was dominant the last time we were out at Chicagoland. Obviously, they're running really well again tonight. They bring great race cars to the racetrack, so interested to see how they're able to fare out tonight.
Our 5th man of the broadcast team down on pit road. We've got Ray Dunlap. What's happening, Ray?
Hey, Rick, I just wanted to point out that those front runners in our field tonight have never won in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. And this year we've had 3 drivers get their first career win. But when we look at our top 10 qualifiers tonight, 6 of them have never been to victory lane, and some of them with very little experience, less than 10 starts. Now, Chad Hockenbraugh leads the list with the most starts, and a lot of people have been saying they believe he's right on the verge of breaking through. So we've got some young drivers and some people looking for their first win. The 55 slowing on the racetrack.
Yeah, Eric Jones is headed on to pit road toward you guys, and we're going to have to figure out what happened with that car. Venturini Motorsports cars normally very stout, and here it looks like we have a problem.
Yeah, it looks like the tires are up. Jim, what's going on with that 55 car?
The 55 has lost oil pressure. Oil pressure issues on the 55. For the man who won the championship by racing here many times last year as a 15-year-old, Eric Jones. Now the car comes in, the hood will go up on the Venturini Motorsports car. High hopes. He was very fast in practice. They thought they had a really good piece, but oil pressure forces them behind the wall.
I would guess the way those guys are reacting that probably the oil pump belt is off that oil pump, and that's sometimes it's caused by something internal in the engine. It'll lock up that oil pump, and the belt will sling off, or sometimes it's just a belt failure. A rock gets underneath there and pops it off.
Red 88 of Matt Crafton continuing to dominate here at Lucas Oil Raceway. Short track racing for the ARCA Racing Series. Crafton has led all 15 laps here at the short track. Sunday NASCAR race day is a must-see. We'll have the latest on A.J. Allmendinger's suspension and what's next for Penske. plus Jimmy Johnson, Joey Logano, and Ryan Newman join us live. Don't miss NASCAR Race Day, fueled by Sunoco, Sunday 10 Eastern, and we've got a caution on the racetrack.
Alex Bowman comes in here third in points now. He's against the outside wall in turn number 1. Alex was running up in the top 5.
And a threat to win tonight. I mean,
Yeah,
his
without
short
a
track
doubt.
program has been very, very strong.
I think he's won 3 times already this year on the short tracks.
See him waiting for an opening to come off of the wall and try to get back down to the attention of his crew.
Look right side of your screen. Obviously something mechanical there.
Yeah.
That was about the time he would be letting off the gas, but the thing had already turned right.
It looks as though all the tires were up. The left rear may look down now. I'm not sure if that was down and caused the crash or if something part-wise broke.
Yeah, definitely left rear down, but he slammed the wall hard on that left side. So that has brought out the first caution here, and we've completed 21 laps of the 200 scheduled out in front. Matt Crafton, but now the field will get bunched up behind him. Amazing sports city here, Indianapolis, Indiana. See uptown, about 10 miles from the short track here in Claremont, Indiana, Lucas Oil Raceway. Our first caution has come out. Crafton has been dominant in this one. He'll restart up front. The caution has come out because the 22 of Alex Bowman got into the wall. We've got some great cameras that will give you some wonderful perspectives. I know Milka Duno carrying one of our cameras, Phil.
Yeah, we're right along with her in the Milky Way Toyota. She was 10th at the road course in New Jersey, and she started in the 27th spot.
Also riding along with Spencer Gallagher. He started 19th on the field.
Lower left, we'll start with Ryan Reed. He's in the RaceHard.com Toyota for Benny Reed Motorsports, and he started in the 16th spot.
Jared Marks, he was our Messina rookie spotlight driver, also carrying one of our cameras, and he started 13th tonight as they begin to double up. But again, it's lead lap cars on the outside and lap down cars on the inside in the ARCA Racing Series. Green flag back in the air.
We'll see if Matt Crafton can drive away from that 6 car, Mason Mitchell. Look at Hockenbraugh, jumps to the inside of Mason Mitchell. That's the time to do it. If you're going to make a move, do it on the restart. Hockenbraugh got it.
Didn't get a very good restart there. Mason Mitchell up to the high side in 1 and 2, and that allowed Chad Hockenbraugh, who had the momentum to make the move on the inside. He takes second away, and now the battle for third is on. Coming up behind that 6 of Mason Mitchell, Kevin Swindell.
This is a really hard place to restart. The track is older, pavement, it's worn out, and once you get on the accelerator, you're just going to spin the tires really easy if you're not used to driving these race cars. And we haven't seen Mason Mitchell a whole lot in this series, so obviously he's still learning, and maybe by the end of the night he'll get it figured out. But he's doing a great job nonetheless.
With a great team too. Eddie Sharp Racing and campaigns that 6 car. Eddie switched over to Chevrolet for his Truck Series teams this year, as well as the ARCA team here.
And we were very high on him back in Iowa, where he made his first start, had a top 10 finish in his first ever start in the series. Jim.
As we know, Eddie Sharp has great equipment. He's on vacation, otherwise he'd be in the spotter stand right now. What they surrounded this young man with is a test day here last weekend for Mitchell in the 6. His crew chief, Jamie Jones, a lot of experience in the Truck Series, and spotting with him, telling him that the better line by the 88 is down low, is Rick Corelli. This kid's got a lot of talent around him here. Ray?
Jim, it was a left rear tire that went flat on the number 22 of Alex Bowman. That's what put him into the wall, but they came behind the pit wall to work on that car, and the damage really not too bad. The bad part is 3 laps down. They've got some work to do to get back in this one.
Yeah, very unfortunate for one of our top contenders for the title this year in this ARCA Racing Series, which, Justin, you know a lot about after winning the championship here in the ARCA Racing Series.
Yeah, that was a great year for us in 2008, and you know, unfortunately, then we didn't come here to the Lucas Oil Raceway, and I wish we had. This is a great facility and makes for great racing. So disappointed this wasn't on the schedule, but definitely a good one now.
Now, are there any drivers that you say thank you to, as far as drivers maybe in the series at the time that maybe helped you win that championship?
Yeah, actually, one of them.
The reason I'm saying that is because Scott Speed is about 10 feet away from us, and Scott was involved in that championship until he and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had a little issue, maybe.
Well, they had five of you guys went to Toledo for the final race with a legitimate shot at the championship.
One of those guys is right there in that 44 car, Frank Kimmel.
Yes, that's right.
It was a really close battle that year, and unfortunately for those guys, I needed some mistakes, and they made them together, and we were fortunate enough to win the championship. But you know, it was definitely a fun year for all of us, and even though it came down to the way that it was, I know we all had a good time.
Oh yeah, it was a great battle. And it looks as though we're going to have another great points battle, and Frank Kimmel back in the hunt for a championship once again, as he's still searching for that 75th win in the ARCA Racing Series, and it's been 75 races since he won his last race.
Frank came in here 5 points behind Alex Bowman, and obviously with the trouble for Alex Bowman, if Frank can stay on the racetrack here as you see him battling right now with Mason Mingus in 32, then a good chance he'll move up at least 1 spot.
That's a battle for position, the 6th spot. Mingus taking it away from Kimmel now as he sets his sights on Lofton, who's just in front of him.
We saw Mason go down to the bottom and run down in that lower lane and pass him. You know, it seems like if you can set your car up to be good on the long run here, the bottom will definitely help you early. If your car is set up for the short run, it may not be as good down there. So, you know, a lot of guys are trying to figure out what's better for him here, and it looks like there's a lot of varying lines. I mean, I look at Matt Crafton and where he's running. He's running kind of a totally different line than everybody else. He's diming in the corner, driving in the middle, going up to the outside, and then kind of coming across that lower lane down there. So definitely a lot of strategies playing out as far as how these guys are racing tonight.
You know, Mingus has had some track time. He ran the earlier support race, the CRA, ARCA CRA Super Series race. Had a good car going, then faded a little bit. Something happened to the car late in the race, but he got 100 laps of experience on the same racetrack, and he's putting it to good use right now.
Absolutely. You know, this racetrack is not an easy racetrack, and there's no substitute for laps here. So, you know, racing in that support race was great for him. And, you know, I think a lot of these guys that come to this racetrack have been here in some form, whether it be an open wheel car, some sort of a late model or modified, and it pays off for a lot of those guys.
So a great battle building here between the 32 of Mason Mingus and that 16 of Matt Lofton, who's just in front. Those two racing for the 5th spot.
See Alex Bowman back here on pit road, so obviously the damage that they had from that earlier crash is a little more extensive.
Great tight racing here at a short track, and we see the 88 continuing to be dominant. A little bumping and banging short track style from Lucas Oil Raceway. More of that here on Speed. Stay with us. Sunday, immediately following the Sprint Cup race from Indy, turn to Speed for comprehensive post-race coverage on NASCAR Victory Lane. JR, Kenny Wallace, and Kyle Petty celebrate with the winner. Break down the biggest moments from the Brickyard. NASCAR Victory Lane immediately following the race right here on Speed. There's Tom Hessert in the 52 working to the inside of that 17 of Chris Buescher.
Chris Buescher comes in as our point leader, 35 points ahead of Brendan Poole. Brendan right now is being shown in the 11th spot. Good run for Tom Hessert. He's moved up a little bit. Tom started back in the 14th spot. He's going to get by Chris Buescher.
Hessert and car owner Kenny Schrader took a few laps here, did a little extra work trying to figure out exactly the setup for this race car.
Yeah, it looks like it's pretty good right now. Tommy's moved up to the 8th spot.
16 and 32 continuing to battle for position. Lofton has it. Mingus is trying to get it away. It's for the 5th spot as they're working by the 94 of Milcaduno.
That 32 of Mason Mingus, you know, watching that car run around here, it looks like he's very comfortable here, and he's able to make really, really good lap times. I mean, we've seen it come up on the board there, really competitive lap times with what the front guys are running up there. So if he can get clear of the 16 there of Matt Lofton, I think he's got a shot at, you know, making a run. And we see some guys up there that are maybe starting to run down the leader. Matt Crafton, obviously he's in heavy traffic, but you know, we're seeing the 58 of Jed Hackenbrock really closing that gap, which is you know, going to make for an interesting race here.
These two have got a good battle going now for that 5th spot, trying to break into the top 5 is the 32 of Mason Mingus.
See the 44, Frank Kimmel right behind them. Mason Mingus was able to get by Frank. There's Frank in the Menards number 44.
Mingus, one of the younger drivers at 17 years old, trying to work his way up through this series in a little close quarters there.
Yeah, I think Matt Lofton gave him a little bit of a break there. Saw that he might have been in a little bit of trouble and backed off early in the race. We're only a 4th of the way through this thing.
It's really easy if you pinch somebody down just a little bit to get them loose off the corners here. That's not very beneficial to your left side if you do that. So he probably thought better of it there and let him have the spot, and knows that he'll probably get him back later.
Yep. Justin was talking strategy earlier. What about fuel mileage on these guys? We didn't see him come in the first caution on lap 21. How far can they go?
I think these guys can probably go 130 or 40 laps, something like that, maybe even a little bit longer. And they knew it was too early at that point to come in. Now, with almost 50 laps completed, I think these guys will get their calculators out and try to figure out, could I make it the rest of the way from here? The times haven't fallen. They have fallen off a little bit, but we see how hard it is to pass here.
Right.
So everybody other than maybe Matt Crafton, it looks like it's very difficult to pass. We saw how long it took Mason Mingus to get by the 16 car of Matt Lofton. There's the 80. You were talking about the line he was running, Justin. But this is unheard of here. He goes all the way to the grass.
Yeah, you never see a car run down that low. I mean, the yellow line is usually as low as you're going to get. So definitely interesting to see.
Trouble with the 88. Our leader into the wall. Crafton gets into the wall after some issues as he enters turn number 1.
I'm not sure. It didn't look like he had a brake issue or something getting in the corner.
We noticed that the rotors were really glowing on that car, and
They're still glowing right here.
Glowing. I don't know if he was maybe cranking a little bit of rear brake into it to save the fronts and just got too much in it, or if there was a failure. But that thing took an evil hop into the corner.
Saw sparks as he was going into turn number 1, and one thing led to another, and into the wall goes the 88. Jim Trado.
Everything was going just fine. He said, yes, I'm okay, but zero, and I mean zero brakes, is the call from the race leader, Matt Crafton, into the fence. The crew now, his Truck Series team, including Junior Joyner, the crew chief, walking slowly off the pit box back to their pit area. This is a brand new race car, the only new ThorSport ARCA car built this year. It was their little baby, unfortunately, very strong until they ran out of brakes.
You saw some smoke out of that right front. I'm not sure that maybe he punctured a line or something like that. And then maybe he probably just said, okay, I have no brakes. I have to get slowed down. And he hit the brakes extra hard. Then he probably had only rear brake or something like that. And that helped turn the thing around as he got to the corner.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the rear brakes sparking right there, which says to me he had a lot of brake pressure in that thing to make it stop. And unfortunately, I know that Matt and all of his guys have to be dejected because that was a super race car. And I know that they're going to be taking the notes from this race car and trying to build some new race cars in the future probably.
What a disappointing ending for Matt Crafton after starting on the pole, setting a new track record here at Lucas Oil Raceway, dominating this race. At one point he had over a 4-second lead over second place Chad Hockenbraugh. He had already put, well, 17th place a lap down, so there were only 16 cars on the lead lap. And now out of that race car, he'll have to make the walk to the ambulance and the trip to the infield care center to be checked out, but a very dejected Matt Crafton.
Pit road is open right now, and here they come.
Led by Chad Hockenbraugh, the 58, just behind him, Mason Mitchell, working their way through 3 and 4 and toward their pits. Jim Trado.
Mitchell will come down pit road again. Jamie Jones, the crew chief for this and his initial start here in the ARCA Racing Series. The call is for 4 tires. He reported early on he was loose center out, so they're going to make a tire pressure adjustment. 4 tires on his Chevy Impala for Mason Mitchell. His second start, here in the ARCA Racing Series. Sunoco Fuel now going in as well. Also running up towards the front, Kevin Swindell, the number 66 machine, the curb records car. That Toyota is also, he reported it very tight center off, so they're going to make an adjustment there. His crew chief, Marty Lindley, 4 tires and Sunoco Fuel for Swindell as well. Ray?
Chad Hockenbraugh thought it was a little too early to pit, but his crew chief, Kevin Reed, said, bring that Tasty Apples race car in. I want to look at the tires. They go down 1 on the track bar. Hockenbraugh comes in as the leader, but he'll lose that position to the 6 car. The 58 rolls out second.
I'll tell you, at the very last second, the 66 of Kevin Swindell decided to stay on the racetrack, Jim, and he will inherit the lead. He is the only one, I believe, of the lead lap cars that stayed on the racetrack.
Now we saw Matt Crafton obviously have issues with brakes, not coming down, not putting new tires on this race car. Is that a mistake?
I think it's a good call because he stayed out, and now he's going to make better pit strategy, I think, later on.
So the caution comes out as race leader Matt Crafton slams into the wall in turn 1. Well, it's not quite a full moon here in Claremont, Indiana, but it's been pretty crazy the start of this one. Race leader Matt Crafton, after leading 51 laps, slams into the wall in turn number 1. Looks like a part failure on that 88 got him into the wall. Let's go back down to Jim Trado on what's happening with the 66 car.
All the communication before the pit stop under caution, Rick, was about changing tires to adjust that tight condition. They didn't come down pit road, which I did not see down in the crowded corner of the pit road, so my apologies. But they stayed on the racetrack for one reason. Crew Chief Marty Lindley said, I overruled my driver. The race complexion has changed with Crafton out of this race. Tires late will be too critical. It's too early to pit, so he stayed out.
So there was the strategy call for the 66 of Kevin Swindell, and you really can't question anything that team does right now because they're coming off of winning at Chicagoland a week ago.
Winning 1-2.
Yes. Very strong. A lot of strategy taking place on pit road. Ray, what else is happening?
Well, Rick, a year ago in this race, the teams pitted at lap 75, and then many of them pitted with 50 laps to go, some with 75 to go. And every crew chief I talked to earlier today said, you want that second set of tires as late in the race as you can get them.
Kevin Swindell bringing the field out of turn number 4. Green flag goes back in the air. We're back underway.
We'll see how good those 4 tires are on Mason Mitchell's car, the 6 car.
And Chad Hockenbraw on the 58. Looks to the inside early for second. Hockenbraw trying to take the spot away from Mitchell.
Boy, Chad has been so good on these restarts. We saw him take over the second spot on the previous restart.
One of the things we're seeing is he's able to go to the bottom early and make it stick. We see him going by Kevin Swindell right here. A lot of these guys can't seem to go down there that early and make it stick like he's able to. And man, his restarts have been phenomenal.
You can see the difference
for the lead. We got problems on the front stretch. The 5 of Gerhardt looks as though he got into the wall right at the start-finish line. As they continue up front, Hockenbraw now has the lead. Took it away from Swindell. Here comes Mitchell for second. He'll take that spot away.
Just barely was able to clear the 66 of Swindell. See Frank Kimmel now. He gets by Swindell. He's going after Mitchell for second.
Kimmel extremely good on short tracks. This just the second year back for the ARCA Racing Series here at Lucas Oil Raceway. They used to run here in the 80s. This is actually the 8th or 9th race, I believe, the 9th race that they have run at Lucas Oil Raceway.
You have to think that the 44 of Frank Kimmel and the 88 of Matt Crafton compared some notes. And so I think Frank's got a pretty good race car right now, obviously wanting to field it out here early, get through some of the traffic. They didn't qualify quite as well as I think they were hoping for, but get through some of this traffic. And once he's getting into this clean air, you can really see that he's starting to take off. And actually, he's adapting to Matt Crafton's line that Matt was running earlier, which is something that nobody else has really started doing either.
So after restarting up front, it looks like it might be the wrong call for Kevin Swindell in the 66, as he's got fresh tires that have been able to get around him, drop back to the 4th spot already, and trying to hold on to that as the 16 of Lofton is looking to the inside.
Yeah, right now Matt Lofton has a faster car than Kevin Swindell. If he was just able to clear him, he could probably drive away. Kevin's paying for those older tires right now.
If the race strategy plays out the way that it normally does, I think that they've made a great call with that 66 car, because he's going to be able to come in and have the luxury of being able to pit whenever he wants to. And right now, he could almost, if this race were to go green, he could almost pit one more time and then go to the end of the race, whereas everybody else is going to have to pit later than he's going to, and it may work out in the long run for him.
Do you think anyone will try staying out from here on? The ones that came onto pit road, because they can make it on fuel.
Yeah, I think they're going to want tires later, though. I have to disagree with Justin. I don't think it was a great call. I think I would rather put the tires on now. Then you still have another set of tires in the pits that you could put on with 50, 60 laps to go whenever you want. If you try to wait too late to put the second set on, like maybe Kevin Swindell's going to do, it may be too late, and track position may bite you.
So Kevin Swindell might be shaking his head and trying to figure out if that was the right call. We know one guy who's shaking his head right now, Matt Crafton, in the infield with Jim Trado.
Out of the care center, you look fine, Matt, but man, you got to be disappointed. Was there any warning about those brakes going away on you?
No, not at all. I mean, that's what my spotter actually just said. I mean, you have no brake glow. You're taking care of your brakes really good down the back straightaway. We were literally just riding. I mean, these guys had built such an awesome Menards Messina Wildlife Toyota. It was so good, just riding and just pacing myself. I hit the brake pedal and it was fine, and all of a sudden something broke, and at that point the pedal went to the floor, and I was like, uh-oh, this is bad. But like I said, I hate it for these guys because this car was so good. I mean, it was a brand new car. They just built it, and today was the first time on the racetrack, and it's hurt.
It's that back here, guys. A lot of damage on that brand new race car. Dejected Matt now walking away.
That's what we speculated. We saw the smoke come from the right front area. Looked like maybe something broke, a brake line or something like that. Maybe a piston got hung outside of the bore, something like that in the brake caliper.
If you break something in the caliper, that pedal is just gonna run all the fluid right out. So you know, anytime you have a brake part failure, it's a bad thing, because one corner, it doesn't just affect that corner, it affects all the braking system because they're all tied together. So definitely not the day they were hoping to have.
You know, even though Matt wasn't using that much brake, or didn't feel like he was using that much brake, as we see some great hard racing at the exit turn number 4, he still put about 500 to 600 pounds of brake pressure on those front brakes.
We're seeing Kevin Swindell trying to hold on to the 6th spot now, as he has Lofton right behind him in that 16. Mason Mingus has already been able to get by, so it's Hockenbraugh, Mitchell, Kimmel, Buscher, and Mingus your top 5, and Swindell, Lofton, Infinger, Hessert, and Poole your top 10.
See, this is a situation now, to me, if I'm Matt Lofton, you know, he knows the 66 stayed out. He knows he doesn't have fresh tires. He's been trying to get by him, hasn't been able to do it. At some point, he needs to use a little more racetrack and force the issue a little bit.
Absolutely. You know, we've seen a couple of guys now get by Matt Lofton because he's been trying to pass him. He's actually lost 3 or 4 spots. We see the 99 of Grant Infinger and the 52 of Tom Hessert, and quite a few on back that have started to line up there. And if he doesn't clear him quickly, he's gonna lose quite a few more spots. There he gets him cleared, so that's a good call to Matt Lofton. But unfortunately, he's worn out his tires quite a bit, and he's definitely lost a few spots.
So look at him getting the throttle at the exit of turn number 4, and he opens up 3 car lengths over Kevin Swindell. Watch him drive away from him now once he got by him.
It's about a half a second is what Kevin Swindell's losing right now, and unfortunately, it's only going to get worse as these tires keep going.
So Swindell continues to go the wrong direction. Chad Hockenbraugh has a 1.5-second lead over Mason Mitchell here at LOR. Next Saturday, the world's toughest truckers tangle in Pocono. With lightning fast speeds and treacherous turns, this track is known for carnage. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Pocono. Next Saturday, 12:30 Eastern, live on Speed. Chad Hockenbraugh out in front of the field. He has a 1.5-second lead over Mason Mitchell. Then it's Frank Kimmel running 3rd. Buscher and Mingus your top 5.
It's a good battle right there for the 5th spot. Mason Mingus moves to the inside of Chris Buscher, not quite able to clear him at the exit of 2. See the brake rotor glowing on that 32 car of Mason Mingus as he entered the corner.
We were talking earlier about brake duct openings and the hole in the nose that feeds air to the brake calipers. You know, there's a lot of strategies on what's better. The more that you have closed, the more aerodynamic the car is, the better it's going to turn. But unfortunately, as we see these guys with glowing brake rotors and Matt Crafton's issue, we don't know if it was heat related or not, but really easy to overheat the brakes and also melt the bead of a tire. You'll get the brakes so hot that it'll actually melt the steel bead on the side of the tire, and when that happens, unfortunately, it's head on into the wall.
Mingus able to make that pass on Buscher to take over the 4th spot.
Mingus, after starting in the 8th position, has made it up into the top 5, runs in the 4th position. Buscher back there in 5th. Riding along with Spencer Gallagher. Take a look at what it's like to make a lap around this about 7/10 mile oval.
He's following that Curb Records Toyota of Kevin Swindell. Kevin now has fallen back to the 10th spot, and he finds himself 13.5 seconds behind our leader, Hockenbraugh. If this race goes green for a long time, he'll find himself a lap down.
If it does go green, I'm going to say that you were right on this one, and I was definitely wrong. But, you know, it's got to be tough from where Kevin's sitting, but at the same time, too, he's got to stay out of trouble. They've made their bed. They're going to have to lay in it. So now he's got to stay out of trouble and hope that the cautions fall in his hand.
This is one of those racetracks where it's so important to have track position. A year ago, the guys who started 1st, 2nd, and 3rd finished 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So not a lot of passing up front for the lead. And we thought that Matt Crafton had checked out on the field, but after having some issues with his brakes, gets into the wall. Now that hands the lead over to Chad Hockenbraugh, and it looks as though Hockenbraugh able to run pretty comfortably up front, although now that lead has diminished to about 0.4 of a second in front of Mason Mitchell.
Well, speaking of 1, 2, 3, the 2 guys that are running 1st and 2nd were 2nd and 3rd in qualifying, and the guy that was 1st, he's not in the race anymore. So, you know, it's definitely going to be interesting to see if this race keeps going the way that it is. I think, you know, between Chad Hockenbraugh and Mason Mitchell, they've got 2 of the best cars in the field.
See Ryan Reed, the 15 car, moved to the inside of Swindell. Swindell now back to the 12th spot. Probably will be 13th in just a moment. Spencer Gallagher and Chad both got by, and man, is he paying for that lack of tires. Now, hey, Jimmy Elledge is your crew chief on your Brandt Chevy, right, in the Nationwide Series.
Correct.
How about you listen to him?
Yes,
okay? You don't do the strategy.
Absolutely.
You listen to him.
You know, honestly, one of the things that I was looking at was a lot of times here, you get to halfway and then you start trying to figure it out. Obviously tonight, the tires have meant so much that pitting early is obviously paying dividends.
Right. Yeah, we saw earlier in this race laps being run at the 22.8 second mark. Already we're up to 24.4, and those are guys that have fresher tires on, that are running about 2 seconds slower now that we've had a long green flag run. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is brought to you by Ansell. For over 100 years, the world leader in hand protection. Welcome back. We're closing in on the halfway point of the Messina Wildlife Animal Stopper 200 from Lucas Oil Raceway. Chad Hockenbraugh out in front of Mason Mitchell, but it has been quite a battle as of late, Ray.
Really good battle, and Chad Hockenbraugh is saying that his race car is just a little bit loose off the corner. Now, this particular chassis that they've been driving tonight has been very, very good for this team. It has finished in the top 10 in every race but one. And oh, by the way, it has been to victory lane before at Martinsville, Virginia, with Jeff Gordon driving it about 4 years ago.
Well, that's got to make you feel good.
Yeah.
You know it's been to victory lane. You know it's a good race car. Now it just needs Chad Hockenbraugh to get it there, because he's finished second twice, most recently at Pocono earlier this year.
How about this 6 car, though, of Eddie Sharp Racing's Mason Mitchell? Second ever start from Des Moines, Iowa. He ran his home track race at Iowa, finished up in the top 10.
And we were so impressed that inaugural race for him, able to get a top 10 finish and now battling for the lead.
Last time we saw a first-time winner, it was backed up in 2010 when Joey Coulter won. So going to be interesting to see if one of these guys that are running up here in the first two can pull off a victory.
Guys, how about as we see Mason Mitchell drive to the inside of Chad Hockenbraugh, right against the grass on the inside, see if he's going to be able to put the power down. He should lose momentum at the exit, and he does.
A great battle for the lead, and one thing I'm noticing, the front rotors on this race car are getting awfully red. A lot of brakes being used by that 6 car.
You know, one of the things it looks like is maybe the 6 is a little bit better than the 58 of Chad Hockenbraugh. So what he's doing is he's trying to set him up. So he's moving around, and unfortunately, you're going to use more brake. If you're able to carry more speed in the corner, you're going to use more brake.
And on these long green flag runs, when those brakes start to heat up, not only do you have to worry about the brakes getting a little mushy, but also we talk about that bead on the inside of the tire also having a problem.
Yeah, that's what Justin was talking about. We see that happen a lot. For no apparent reason, a guy will go down in the corner and blows the right front tire. It's because that bead melted.
One of the other things, too, is as it's heating up that bead, it's heating up the air that's inside of that tire, and the moisture in the air will actually grow. So the more that heat there is, the bigger that tire is getting, and unfortunately, the tighter it makes that car. So if you're already a little bit tight, it just makes it that much worse.
Mitchell again jumps to the inside, pulls dead even with Hockenbraugh in the center of the corner. Then at exit has to pay for it. How about Frank Kimmel joining this battle for the lead?
Kimmel closes the gap now as he has made this a 3-car battle for the lead from Lucas Oil Raceway. Guys, as drivers, what can you change? You know that your brakes are getting heated up right now. What do you change as a driver?
Unfortunately, there's really nothing you can do to change it. You're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to race hard to be able to pass him. Once you get out front, you can get some clean air on that nose and cool your brakes back down. But unfortunately, you know, running side by side is only going to allow those guys behind you to catch you, and that's what we see right now with Frank being able to catch the lead 2 cars.
Just past the halfway point as we have completed 103 laps, 97 laps to go. Chad Hockenbraugh has never been to victory lane. Mason Mitchell has never been to victory lane. And oh, by the way, Frank Kimmel has been there 74 times in his career, and he's running in the 3rd spot.
But it's been 75 races since he was to victory lane, and I know for a fact that he would sure love to break that streak.
Talked about earlier today in the first practice how good that race car was. And amazingly enough, those of you that are from the Indiana area have known that they're in a bit of a drought here, but we had rainstorms during both of the practices that shortened both practices for the ARCA Racing Series. And so that threw a little bit of a wrench into everyone's plans. But again, we have some great weather for racing tonight.
You would say that would help the guys with experience, but unfortunately, the two guys that are in first and second have a lot more experience than that guy in third. So definitely interesting to see how everything's played out. And you know, lap traffic has seemed to be the great equalizer tonight. It's caught everybody back up. We see them passing the 22 here. You know, it's tough to pass lap cars here. We talked about only being one preferred groove, so this could get interesting.
Alex Bowman in the 22 again had issues early in this race. One of our point leaders.
How about right in front of our leader, that white number 66, the Curb Records Toyota? That's Kevin Swindell.
And Kevin Swindell. Oh, we've got Marks and problems right in front of our leader. Jared Marks into the wall in the 12, bringing out the caution.
Boy, that looks exactly like maybe a melted bead or something. Obviously, a right front tire goes down. Jared was running in the 14th spot. We talk about Kevin Swindell being right in front of this group. He's going to be able to come back around, stay on the lead lap. Jim, what's going on?
I was monitoring his channel. That Dodge had no warning. He said down the backstretch, he said, you're right there with him, stay with him. Then Sparks, he made it from the right front, and into the wall he went, and the number 12 was Jared Marks again. No warning for this Messina rookie spotlight driver, trying to put another top 10 together here tonight, but man, what a hard impact and stop there for Marks to go along the wall.
Yeah, see him right in front of our leader. It sure looks like a melted bead there, doesn't it, Justin?
It really does, and you know, it's so hard to see what it is at that point. You know, obviously the right front tire failed, but I don't know, man. That's a hard hit. You never want to see somebody crash, but especially like that, that's a hard hit when the right front tire blows out.
And very unfortunate for our Team Messina rookie spotlight driver. Jared Marks into the wall in turn 3. Now, does that open the door for the 66 of Kevin Swindell?
Well, he's going to come get 4 tires, I can guarantee you that. And I think these guys don't want to, the rest of the field doesn't want to put their last set of tires on this early.
I think it's way too early to put tires on. Now, if you're running maybe 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, you can think about coming in now, because we haven't seen a whole lot of cautions. It's been relatively caution-free. So if you come in now, maybe you can stretch to the end, and it may play out in good favor for the 66.
You see all the damage, or we saw the damage to the 12 of Jared Marks, and the 58 of Hockenbraugh goes by pit entrance, and it is open now. The car we would expect to see would be the 66, though.
Yeah, without a doubt, and he's going to be glad to get to pit road.
Looks like the only car going to come down pit road.
The rest of this field knows that.
Brennan
Poole they want to wait.
5 is going to make the hard left turn.
Brennan's going to pit out of the 9th spot. He's going to be the top running car to pit. Ryan Reed is also going to come down pit road, as well as certainly the 66 of Kevin Swindell.
We're seeing the 98. I think you mentioned Chad Boat making his way onto pit road.
Chad just outside the top 10 right now, running in the 11th spot.
There were only 13 cars on the lead lap. That's the blistering pace that not only Matt Crafton had set, but also the 58 of Chad Hockenbraugh. Now the 68 on pit road. Jim.
The 66 of Kevin Swindell, one of the 3 Curb Records cars, is down here on pit road. A little bit of left front damage, but again, they were the car that stayed out and assumed the lead. They were excited to see this caution. They were jumping up and down on the pit wall. They're now going to the left side, changing all 4 Hoosier tires and packing it with Sunoco fuel. That Toyota's now down and away.
25 of Brennan Poole, the 98 of Chad Boat, also with 4 tires.
66 of Swindell trying a little strategy. He stayed out. The tires wore out. He went back, but he didn't have as big of problems as the 12 of Jared Marks. Welcome back. The Messina Wildlife Animal Stopper 200 continues here on speed as we pass the halfway point. Completed 112 of the 200 scheduled laps. Alongside Justin Allgaier and Phil Parsons, I'm Rick Allen up here in the booth. Down on pit road, Jim Trado and Ray Dunlap calling all of the action. And we've had a little bit of action on pit road after this most recent caution. It allowed the 66 of Kevin Swindell, who was trying a little pit strategy. He got to pit road, able to get 4 fresh tires on that race car. We'll see how that works out for him. When he restarts, he'll be back in the 13th spot, but that's 13th on the outside line. He's going to have lap down cars on the inside that he's also going to have to work around.
We were talking about during the break, if he can get back somewhere close to the top 5, then he's going to be even with those guys out front of him.
Coming out of turn number 4. Green flag back in the air. We're back underway. A great restart for the 6 of Mason Mitchell. Not able to keep the momentum up through 1 and 2. And that means Chad Hockenbraugh will pull away down the backstretch to almost 6 car lengths.
Remember how good we saw Chad Hockenbraugh on the last 2 restarts.
Andy's had to pass people. Now he's out in front, so he's able to really show how strong that 58 car is on these restarts.
Clean racetrack in front of the 58, as well as the 6 of Mason Mitchell. Frank Kimmel right on the back bumper, running for that 2nd spot.
See some action back a little bit farther for the 6th, 7th, and 8th place here. Chris Buescher, Matt Lofton, and Grant Enfinger putting on a heck of a race right here.
Buescher in the 17 on the outside. At 32 of Mason Mingus just in front of this group.
Yeah, Mason's getting ready to start his senior year of high school here in another couple weeks.
Young talent here in the ARCA Racing Series.
Frank get a little sideways off of turn number 2. Remember now, Kevin Swindell, as you see him go by the 15 of Brian Reed, he's already gotten by the 25 of Brennan Poole and the 98 as we have a battle for the lead. Right now, Mason Mitchell goes to the inside, trying to wrestle that lead away from Chad Hockenbraugh. So Kevin Swindell has as few laps in his tires as the rest of the field did when he stayed out. Had 50-some laps on his tires. Now he's got the advantage of having the fresh tires, and the rest of the cars have 50 laps on their tires.
You guys both talked about that preferred line being the higher line. We saw Hockenbraugh stay up on the top side of the racetrack when the 6 of Mitchell tried to dive bomb down to the lower part of the track, but couldn't make it stick. And now again, we see Hockenbraugh being able to put a 2 to 3 car length lead over 2nd place.
A little bit of a wiggle out of Mason Mitchell's car. You can already see the brake rotors glowing on the front of that car, and we've only run about, what, 4 or 5 laps since the restart.
Yeah, we don't know how much opening he's got on his brake ducts. That black car is kind of hard to see what the brake ducts look like. But also, too, there are certain rotor pad combinations that will glow quicker than others. So we don't know exactly what he's running for brakes. That's one of the things that you can really tune on your car with, especially when you come to a short track. So a lot of these guys are trying to figure out what's best for them, and that just may be the combination.
And the other thing you got to remember is this is only the 2nd race for Mason Mitchell in that number 6, who's running 2nd right now. Ray.
Hey, Rick, I've been listening to some of the front runners, and Chad Hockenbraugh came on the radio and talked to his crew chief, Kevin Reed, and said, give me exactly the same changes that you did a while ago. Kimmel said the same thing, but both of those cars are fighting something different. Kimmel's a little tight in the middle, Hockenbraugh's a little bit loose off, so I expect the same kind of changes when we pit next time. Now remember, those drivers were in at lap 52. They can all go about 60 more laps on fuel. But Jim Trado, I'm curious about that 66. Any chance he could be done pitting tonight?
Indeed, his crew chief Marty Lindley just told me we are good on fuel. We don't have to come to pit road, but we put those 4 tires on, brand new sticker tires. In the pits, we have 2 laps scuff tires. We hope we get a caution late, but if we don't, we are good to go to the end on the 66.
Thanks, Jim. And these guys, I mean, the 66 team, they've got to use the tires the best they can early in this run, because it's going to start to plateau and even out as the laps continue to click off.
Yeah, we saw earlier the last run, the times get closer to what they are running right now after about 30 or 40 laps. So he's got to get everything he's going to get done in about 30 or 40 laps. Unfortunately, his crew chief's saying, hey, I need you to run about 95 laps on this set of tires. So, you know, he's going to have to get it done early and then hope that he can maintain through the rest of the run here.
He's able to get by the 16 of Matt Lofton. Now that moves him up to the 6th spot.
And we talked about if he could get up into the top 5, he'd be almost equal with the position that he was in prior to that first caution coming out when he didn't come onto pit road.
The problem is if we go to about lap 150, 160, okay, and the caution comes out, he wants to stay on the racetrack. Everybody else is coming in, with maybe the exception of the 25 of Brennan Poole and maybe one other car. So they're going to line up right behind him essentially with 4 fresh tires, and we know how much better 4 fresh tires were when somebody else had 50 laps on their tires.
Fresh tires here at the short track, proving to be very important. Hockenbraugh out in front of Mitchell by 0.2 of a second. Monday night, the hub rolls. Elliott Sadler, Larry Mack, and Matt Clark break down the action from the Brickyard. Plus, hear directly from the drivers to get the latest breaking news from the world of NASCAR. NASCAR Race Hub Monday, 6 Eastern, only on Speed.
Watch that 66 car, Rick, on the outside. He has joined this 5-car battle for the lead.
Kevin Swindell in the 66 on her most recent caution came in, got 4 fresh Hoosiers, and it has worked out. It has paid off for Swindell, as now he has thrown that 66 right back in the battle for the lead.
We were talking about the 32 creeping up on those guys, and by the time we came back on the air, the 66 had run him down, and is almost looks like he might get the spot here from the 32.
Looking to the outside of that 32, 3 wide as they cross the stripe. They enter into turn 1, and a little contact made there. The 32 of Mason Mingus now has damage on the rear bumper.
How about the left front damage on the 66 car? I don't think Mason Mingus knew that he was on his outside. See the tail panel flopping around. That's just a piece of fiberglass.
And it's about to come off.
One of the things that Kevin Swindell's hoping is that piece does not come off.
He does
if
not
it comes
need a
off,
caution
that's
flag.
going to be a caution. And these leaders are going to be able to pit and get tires. And unfortunately, I think there'll be a sitting duck.
How about Frank Kimmel now? He's going to try to take advantage of Mason Mitchell going to the inside, and he's got second.
Kimmel takes second away from Mason Mitchell. Now Mitchell battling back on the outside or inside, and the caution has come out once again. There is that's the panel off the 32 that did come off. Rear bumper panel, and now there was damage to the 66. We saw that to the left front of the 66. Here's how it happened.
I don't think the 32 knew he was there. He just squeezed him.
It looks like Kevin may have come down into him a little bit as well. So obviously 2 guys fighting for the same real estate, just not enough room.
But a lot of damage to the left front corner of that 66 car. But he's up into the top 5 now. He's dead even with them. If they come to pit road, he can come to pit road. He can elect to stay out. We know the rest of those guys are coming to pit road. As a matter of fact, they're on pit road now.
And it wasn't that long ago. Could someone gamble and take just right side tires in this situation? There's quite a few laps to go, though. 66 laps remain. Let's go down to pit road and Jim Trado.
Down pit road comes Mason Mitchell for his final stop. They thought this would be the opportune time for this young man. Again, his spotter is Rick Corelli coaching him through this. Down to pit road now. Right sides are on. The Make-A-Wish Impala now. The left side's going on for the car that was up in the second position. His crew chief Jamie Jones calls him. He's down and away and gone. Right.
Same track bar adjustment for Chad Hockenbrough. They'll also add a half a pound of air into the right front. That'll help him. The number 6 car is already rolling down pit road. These two are going to battle, but the 58 will get out much quicker this time. He comes in first and goes out in the same position.
And I would say a great stop for the 66 team of Kevin Swindell, because they're coming off of pit road. It looks like 4th, just behind that 6 of Mason Mitchell. And an impressive stop for the 44 of Frank Kimmel. Looks like he got off pit road 2nd.
And remember we talked about on the last caution flag when Kevin Swindell came and got tires? So did Chad Boat, and so did Brendan Poole. Those 2 cars stay on the racetrack, and they will line up 1st and 2nd. Chad Boat will be our leader. Brendan Poole will be 2nd.
We will see how a little older tires hold up against the fresh Hoosiers that the guys have put on. Brian Finney gets the Aaron's lucky dog. He'll be back on the lead lap. Messina Wildlife Animal Stopper 200 here on Speed continuing. Just 62 laps remain. Short track racing for the ARCA Racing Series from Lucas Oil Raceway. Chad Boats and Brendan Poole stayed out on the racetrack, so they will restart 1 and 2. The big story has been the 66 of Swindell. What did they do, Jim?
Well, they came down to put those 2 lap scuff tires on, and in the pits they actually definitely had a rub. This is the outside edge of the left front tire. Again, they came down pit road. The left front did have damage. It was scraping on the tire itself. They're scraping on the sidewall, and about 3 inches in, there's a definite groove that was starting to wear through the tread. So they put those tires on. Now, this tire did not go down, and his crew chief, Marty Lindley, just said, hey, these tires are still some of the freshest of anyone, so if we need to put them back on, we can do that. But that groove, again, would have been an issue if they stayed out.
Green flag back in the air. Chad Boat with a great restart. Brendan Poole running 2nd. Then it's Hockenbrough, who was on pit road, has the 4 fresh tires. We'll see how he is able to put down the 25 and the 98 quickly here at this short track.
Remember, about 20 laps fresher tires for the 58, the 44. Just about everybody back behind the 98 and the 25.
Again, on the lead lap, we had 14 cars. That's because Brian Finnegan, the number 3, was added after the Aaron's lucky dog. So 14 cars on the lead lap. Boat and Poole decided to stay out. The rest came onto pit road.
Unfortunately, it's worked out for Chad Boat, but Brennan Poole is just going backwards in a hurry.
Follow that quickly.
Yeah, and even though they've only been on those tires for about 20 laps or so, it's still enough that these fresh tires are just eating them up.
Great battle for second. This could be a battle for the lead as Kimmel working around, and there was smoke going through 3 and 4, or 1 and 2, and it looks as though that's the 99 of Grant Infinger that's smoking down the backstretch. We stay green, though. And the battle is 3 wide. Frank Kimmel on the inside. Hockenbraugh shoots through the middle. Hockenbraugh leads at the stripe.
Chad Boat said, what happened? I was leading right there.
Hockenbraugh on the high side, trying to hang on to the lead. Kimmel down on the yellow line, trying to take it away. He runs second now as they go down the backstretch.
Great move by Chad Hockenbraugh to wrestle that lead away from Chad Boat. And Frank Kimmel is all over him.
Mason Mitchell in the 6th, running in the 3rd spot now. Chad Boat has dropped back to 4th. So out in front once again, Chad Hockenbraugh. He was able to put some distance between himself and second the last time he was out there, but now he's got the seasoned veteran, Frank Kimmel, right behind him. The Ensel Menards number 44 out of Thor Sports Racing Stables, and his teammate led a dominant race early for 51 laps. Matt Crafton then had an brake issue, where he got into the wall in turn number 1 while leading the race.
One of the things that we're seeing here is obviously Frank's car's been really good on the long run, but they've made some adjustments and made it a lot better in the short run, and it seems like he may have the best car right here. Obviously, he's not able to pass Chad right at the moment, but that 44 Ensel Menards Toyota is really, really fast looking right now.
Very strong as we see Mason Mitchell just behind him in the 6th. Those are your top 3 cars. Hockenbraugh, Kimmel, and Mitchell. Battle for the 5th spot. Buscher on the outside. Swindell just in front of him.
Matt
Lofton,
Lofton,
the 16 of
on the
Lofton.
inside. 3 wide at the exit of 4.
Lofton on the inside as Swindell shoots out in front of that 17 of Buscher.
You know, that 66 has some damage on that left front still. Even though they pulled it out, it's still damaged. I think that's probably hindering the way that car's driving. You know, the nose surface area is so important. We talked about brake ducts. If guys aren't going to put the brake ducts in it just because of aerodynamic advantage, I can't imagine what that left front fender is doing for him right now.
Kimmel once again looking at the inside for the lead. That's on the left side of your screen, and a great battle for position on the right side as well. Buscher and Lofton running 6th and 7th. And now Kimmel looks to the inside, has a great run as they enter 3 and 4. Kimmel to the inside for the lead, coming through 3 and 4 side by side as they exit 4. Sideways is the 44 of Kimmel. He can't take the lead, and that allows Mason Mitchell to get up on the inside for second.
That opens up the bottom for Mason Mitchell. Now he pulls even with Kimmel at the exit of 2.
One of the things that Chad's doing very, very well is he's keeping his car low enough on corner exit that these guys behind him are losing all of their momentum. And it's so hard to pass here if you don't have that momentum. So this is a great battle. It looks like Frank may try and stick it on the outside there. Not going to make it work, but definitely a great battle.
Battles all over the racetrack. Look at that battle on the right side for 5th. You got 4 or 5 cars going at it for 5th. Tom Hessert now has joined that battle, trying to go through the middle of Matt Lofton and Kevin Swindell.
Mason Mitchell continues to use the bottom line in the 6th, trying to get by Kimmel in the 44 for the 2nd spot. Hockenbraugh running the higher line, trying to hold on to the lead.
These guys are 3 wide all the way back to the guys that are, you know, the leaders are coming up to laps. So these guys right here, especially, you know, Mason Mitchell or Frank, they're going to want to get their passing done before they get to any lap traffic.
Mason Mitchell just clears the 58. Mason Mitchell leading the field at Lucas Oil Raceway.
In his 2nd ever start here in ARCA Racing Series.
Very impressive run, and now we see the 44 of Frank Kimmel make the pass on Hockenbraugh. He takes second away, so he'll set his sights on the young driver of the number 6.
I think the 58's either got a problem or he's just ran his tires way too hard.
Just saw a little smoke out of the 58 also as he was entering the turn. We'll see if that gets any worse.
Look, so much ground he's lost now. He's about 6-7 car lengths now behind Kimmel in the 44.
So the 6 of Mason Mitchell out in front, the 44 of Kimmel running second. Ray.
Something's wrong with Chad Hockenbraugh's fuel pressure. He just said the gauge just started going crazy, and he said the engine is burping a little bit like they're not getting all the fuel to the carburetor.
Yeah, you're seeing a little smoke out of the right side of that car too, the exhaust side.
It's a blue smoke, which typically isn't isn't the greatest of colors you want coming out of there. No color of smoke is good, but that blue smoke definitely means that there's something going on inside that engine.
What a tough break, though. What a great car Chad Hockenbraw had here. Still maintains the 3rd spot, still running fairly quickly, but he's lost 3 or 4 tenths from what he was able to run before.
The 18-year-old Mason Mitchell in number 6 out in front of the field with just 47 laps of racing to go, just in front of veteran Frank Kimmel. Could this be the night that Frank Kimmel goes back to victory lane? The Messina Wildlife Animal Stopper 200 with just 41 laps to go, and we have a new leader. Kimmel now in front of Mason Mitchell. This is how it happened.
See, Mason Mitchell gets a bad break in traffic. They're too wide. Gets his momentum all taken away, and Frank just drives by on the outside.
It's a great move by Frank. Obviously seeing it play out. Mason doesn't know how it's going to play out for him, but Frank saw it coming, stuck to the outside, and what a great move by Frank there.
You don't think it maybe had some experience had something to do with that, do you?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, it only has been there's only been 30 other drivers that have won a race since Frank has won his last one. So I know that he was definitely thinking about that.
That number is ridiculous. 30 different drivers have been to victory lane since. Oh, and Chad Bode in the 98. Sparks flying on the right side of that race car. That will bring the caution out once again.
Yeah, Chad loses the right front tire, and we saw that happen while we were away at commercial break. He made some contact and then developed a tire rub. That right front tire was rubbing, and we said it was just a matter of time before that tire went down, and there it is, sure enough.
It's a tough break for Chad.
Here it is right here. This is when he was running with Chris Buescher. Watch now. They exit turn number 4. They make some contact.
It's only in the back, but what happens is that under travel, that back of that wheel well is getting in there, and he had dropped all the way back to 9th place after staying out there under that caution, and unfortunately, we see the end results here.
All right, smart guys. Do you come to pit road and put fresh tires on? What do you think? Well, let's go back to pit road and Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, we always hate these interviews. I know you're very dejected, Chad, but a great race car. You led more than 80 laps tonight.
Yeah, we had a really good car. You know, it seems that when everything's going good with us, you always got to find some sort of bad luck with us lately. But, you know, we had a great car. We came here and tested on Sunday. Can't thank Kelly Byers enough. He helped us out on Sunday, came, ran the car for us, and had an engine go bad. Don't know what happened. There when Frank Kimmel got by me, you know, it started going sour really bad. But, you know, I tried to hang it out, and all of a sudden it died on me. I can't thank Wix Filters, Sparco, Cometic, Molly, everybody. Can't thank everybody enough. PME Engines, they all give me great stuff, and I just can't thank everybody enough.
Okay, everybody knew he was here tonight. Jim, let's get an update from your end of pit road.
Well, Kevin Swindell marched his way all the way up to 4th position, the number 66. We noted the left front damage in that incident on the front stretch with Mason Mingus. They're back down pit road. They're putting the tires back on the car from their change. So that's decent lap times on the tires, but they're worried about the fender rubbing on the tires. So he came down pit road. They're bandaging the left front fender. So again, he came up to 4th. We'll see how he can do this time out as he marches his way through the field and pick them up one at a time. Left front fender, the issue for Swindell. They're going to fix that and put the tires back on. They took off after that incident.
Guys, I like that because his advancement had stalled. He wasn't going any farther forward. Now he has some fresher tires than these other guys do, even though they have about 20 laps on them. I like this call.
You know, I think it is a good call. We talked about aerodynamics and being such a big deal. They've gotten the aero back close to where it was, and like you said, you've only got about 20 laps on your tires. Unfortunately, he's got to pass all of those guys he just passed, and that's not going to be fun.
Aaron's lucky dog going to Josh Williams in the 0-2. Phil, I'm starting to see you kind of go back toward liking what Justin was saying earlier about how they made a great job, or a great stop
with what they had to work with. He's not going to win the race.
Okay, so you're still saying that this strategy won't work?
Well, he's going to be better off. I think it's the only shot he had because his advancement had stalled. He got up to 4th, and that was as far as he was going. Right. He was losing ground to the 3 guys in front of him. So they had to try something. As Justin said, they fixed that front fender. That's going to make it better, and he's putting a little bit fresher tires on.
I think what he's saying is, had he not gotten the damage earlier, my strategy may have worked.
No.
Take a look at the left front here on Brennan Poole's number 25. And, okay.
He just rolled
back to, because he was in that position.
Just to get out of the way.
Yeah, get out of the way.
Yeah.
It is interesting. He was looking up under there to see if there was something going on. I don't know if maybe they've got a brake hose or something that's kind of gone off where it should be, but definitely interesting to see him up under there. Put yourselves in harm's way. Unfortunately, hopefully you can get out like you did.
34 laps remain. It's short track racing, and Frank Kimmel has been so close so many times. Hasn't won here at Lucas Oil Raceway.
Well, they've only raced here once, even
in his era.
In his era, I mean, they raced back in the 80s. Frank's been around a long time. He wasn't back in the mid 80s when they were here, but as you can see, our great summer here after 165 laps, Frank is our leader, and he's been a leader a lot of these races over the years.
6 different leaders, 9 lead changes. We've had 5 cautions that have slowed the pace for 26 laps. Now it's time for the green flag to come back out. Kimmel on the outside. He's got Mason Mitchell in the 6 just behind him. Those two have been battling for the lead for quite a few laps. Green flag back in the air. Kimmel, Mitchell, Hessert, Buscher, and Mingus your top 5. That's right. Tom Hessert has moved up into the 3rd spot now in this race.
Yeah, Tommy's having a great run going. He's been steady working his way towards the front. Now he's going to take a peek to the inside for a moment.
We've watched
that 2nd spot.
We've watched the lap times here, and Tom's car has been really, really fast. He's been consistently right up there in the speeds of the fastest or one of the fastest. So definitely interesting to see this restart, getting everybody bunched back together, how much that'll help him.
How about the top 5 separating themselves early from the slower lapped cars? That 32 of Mason Mingus. Look at the inside contact into the 17, and the 17 of Buscher into the wall.
Our point leader, 17 of Buscher, into the outside wall hard.
And that was from the contact from the 32 of Mason Mingus. He continues on. And now let's see how much damage has been done to the 17th of Buscher.
I would think more than likely he's going to have a bit of a tire up, although I don't see that much smoke right now. But more than likely knocked the toe out.
Probably knocked the toe out and may have moved the rear end over, which unfortunately here is only going to make that car tighter. And most guys tonight are pretty tight on these long runs, so definitely not going to be a help to him.
So again, coming in, point leader Chris Buscher now with problems as he will begin to back up. He's already down to the 8th spot.
We see that 66 car right there all the way up to the 6th position after putting those tires on. So maybe that was a good call for those guys, and he's definitely not going to want to see a caution here.
Take another look on the right side of your screen. The 32 looks like he goes up the racetrack, catches the back of the 17, and he slams into the wall.
He got a little bit loose, had to chase it up the hill. When he did, he made contact. Watch this now. Watch him get a little bit loose, and then he's got to chase it up the hill. When he does, the front end straightens out. It runs into the left rear corner. Chris Buscher pushes him into the outside wall.
That's a helpless feeling too if you're Chris Buscher, because that corner, that wall comes up on you so quick anyways when you're by yourself with no help, and unfortunately any slip of traction at all, you're going to be right into that fence, and we saw the effects of that.
That race car quite a bit more narrow now. The 17 has a very flat right side, and the left side looks pretty flat as well, as there was contact made to the left side of that race car. So the 17 trying to hang on to position now as Buscher is back in the 8th spot. And it looks as though Lofton battling him for that position, as we see the 44 of Frank Kimmel now with a 6/10 of a second lead over Mason Mitchell, right?
And Rick, I just wanted to add, this race car that Frank is driving today is chassis A1, and they've run this car in 7 races this season. But we think about Frank Kimmel and all the experience he has, but this race team that he drives for, the guys from ThorSport, really a brand new team, and they've been trying to work on things to get the team together. The guys going over the wall tonight are the pit crew for Johnny Sauter's Camping World Truck Series team. They've been very solid tonight, but Jared Prince, a very young crew chief, trying to get a team together and make sure they gel. So far, Kimmel's saying the adjustments they've made on this car has made it really, really, really good.
Amazingly enough, the last time Frank Kimmel was in victory lane was in 2008, but it was a short track. Kimmel out in front of the field, but a new driver in second and closing the gap. Brennan Poole in the 25 has made a late charge in this one. He is just 1 second back from Kimmel. Jim.
Brennan Poole's race car is very fast for one good reason. The team came down pit road twice before. They cycled pit stops with the same set of tires. They put the tires back on the car. This set of tires went on at lap 163. It was a brand new set of Hoosier tires, guys. They saved it for the stop at 163, 17 laps to go, right?
Jim, Tommy Hesser's number 52 Federated car running in 4th right now. I talked with his crew chief, Donnie Richardson, earlier today, and he said when they were here for the test the other day, a lot of teams used it as a practice. They were all worried about the stopwatch. They were looking at how fast each and every lap was, but the 52 team used it as a test, and that can be very different. They learned things about what the car's tendencies were, and when they went back to the shop, they put a different rear end housing in, they put on different trailing arms. They made a lot of adjustments, and Hessert said everything they've done has made that car much, much better than when they did the test.
We went from a second gap between Kimmel and Poole to no gap. Now, Brennan Poole looking to the inside of that 44 of Frank Kimmel, trying to take the lead away as we have under 18 laps of racing to go.
Guys, I'm telling you right now, if that 25 car, and he's definitely better and faster than Frank Kimmel, if he wins this race, you're going to have to chalk that one up to the crew chief.
Yeah, we were both talking about our strategy, and they were out thinking us down there, playing games with everybody else.
We knew that they put tires on twice, and normally that would have said, okay, they're out of tires. But as Jim said, they put the same set of tires back on the second pit stop, and look what happened when they have a new set left.
New set of tires, and that means a faster race car. But it has just closed the gap. Now he's got to get by him. And as the laps continue to click away, it looks as though Kimmel is able to stay out in front of that 25.
He drove right up to him, and now he's lost a few car lengths.
You may have to think that Brennan's sitting back there going, okay, I know I have a faster race car, and I'm going to be able to pass him when we get to lap traffic. Or Frank could just be saying, hey, I'm the veteran here. I know how to make more time with my race car. I've been saving my tires, and now I'm going to drive away. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens these last few laps here.
And I think if I'm Brennan Poole, I want to be able to get back Frank as soon as I can. If I'm going to be able to pass him, I want to do it now because we're liable to get a caution flag. I don't want to let him cool his tires any during the caution flag and have them be really good for 3 or 4 or 5 more laps.
And we have seen how difficult it is to pass at this racetrack. Guys trying to get by have worked lap after lap after lap, and now Kimmel has put a big distance between himself and Poole.
One of the things, talking about experience, Frank Kimmel has won on 26 different types of racetracks. So that's just playing into his wealth of knowledge that he's able to drive away. And right now we see that he's consistently putting in the fastest lap time now that Brennan was able to catch him, and seems to be driving away with only 14 laps to go.
You know, we talked about 30 different drivers have been to victory lane since Kimmel's last win. Well, one of them has been Brennan Poole, and he's gone to victory lane twice this year already. Just behind him, though, we talk about you, Mason Mitchell, just 18 years old out of West Des Moines, Iowa, making his just second start in the ARCA Racing Series, currently running in the 3rd position. His first start, he finished 10th at his home track in Iowa, and now battling for a top 5 spot, potentially a win here in his second start.
You were talking about youth. Brennan Poole was 3 years old when Frank Kimmel got his first ARCA win in Toledo. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Well, and that just proves to you that Frank Kimmel has been here for a long time, and he's done it. He's done an impressive thing in this series that virtually only one other has done. Iggy Katona is the only one who has more wins in this series than Frank Kimmel, but Kimmel has 9 championships. No one else has come close to that in the ARCA Racing Series.
And I have to believe here, unless something strange happens, Frank Kimmel's going to move 1 notch closer to Iggy Katona's all-time win record, too.
79 wins is Iggy Katona, and this could be the 75th win for Frank Kimmel tonight.
I know Frank has desperately wanted to get back in victory lane. Still feels like he's a championship caliber driver, race winning driver. Obviously, he's proving that tonight. He's been proving that. He's just not quite been in the position he needs to be in. We see Mason Mitchell going by Brennan Poole. Looks like Brennan's car has gone really, really loose. Probably burn up those Hoosiers, and unfortunately now is just going to have to settle for whatever position he gets.
But will be a great point night. Right now, our point leader, Chris Buescher, is mired back in the 9th spot after making contact with the outside wall. Right, Brennan Poole up in the 3rd spot, so it'd be a good point night for Brennan Poole if he can hang on here.
It would move him within 5 points of Chris Buescher right now, and I can tell you right now, 5 points, that's easy to get. So he's definitely hoping that he can stay where he's at, and hoping that he can, make as many points as he's doing right now on Chris Buescher. Oh, we got a crash.
Around goes the 68. Forrester into the wall. It'll bring the caution out. As much as we talk about so close for Frank Kimmel, he did not want to see a caution come out. He did not want want to have to go another restart to try to stay in front of Mason Mitchell and Brennan Poole, but it's going to happen.
He got a great restart last time. Frank is so good, so experienced. He's got Mason Mitchell behind him. Hasn't been in this position that many times. Frank opened up 6 car lengths on that last restart. He needs to do it again.
The one advantage he's got going for him right now is the fact that he's got Mason Mitchell behind him. Nothing against Mason, but obviously second race, he's still trying to learn how to get these restarts down, and you're going against a guy that is one of the king of restarts in the ARCA Racing Series. So definitely going to be all about this last restart.
Did you see the look on Jared Prince?
Oh yeah.
Kimmel's crew chief. It's like, oh no, that we were so close. Jim Trado.
Well, the discussion, as soon as the caution flag flew, Billy Venturini stood up on the pit box of the number 25 of his driver, Brennan Poole, and said, this is a good thing for us. Our tires will cool down. I think we'll have something for these guys for about 3 laps. ARCA rules are under 10 laps to go. The cars are single file, lead lap cars in front. We'll see what Poole has for them. Sitting back in third, they're confident for 3 laps they might have something to catch Frank Kimmel. What do you think, Ray?
Well, down here, I'm listening to Kimmel and his crew chief, Jared Prince, talking on the radio, and Jared said, Frank, that is your dirt car. Do not worry about the body. If you've got to do some beating and banging with it, have fun. He said, let's go get a win. Do what you got to do.
He looks comfortable. Maybe not. And in the ARCA Racing Series, we're going to have a green flag race to the checkered here. They will go as many times as they need to have a green flag finish to this one. So, can Kimmel close the gap between he and Iggy Katona? Iggy Katona has the most wins of all time in the ARCA Racing Series. 79 wins, and look how far back third is. Jack Bowser, an extremely talented driver in this series, just 55 wins.
Yeah, the biggest reason is Jack Bowser went on to the USAC Stock Car Series right in his heyday. He won 3 championships in a row and then moved on to the USAC Series. So Jack would have had a lot more wins as well.
And the Bowser family continued on and had great success in the ARCA Racing Series. But right now, it's all about Frank Kimmel. And Kimmel able to close the gap. Can he get one race closer and really get the monkey off his back that everyone has been saying, can you get back to victory lane? It's been almost 4 years for him.
I think this would be kind of the rebuild race of Frank Kimmel. If he's able to get to victory lane, I see a lot more confidence, and I see these next couple races that we're going to really feed into Frank's strengths. So with this long stretch of 13 or 14 races, whatever it is, you know, Frank has been around this series for so long. He knows how to handle the duration. A lot of these guys, younger guys, haven't been around the sport as long. They don't know what it's like to get into those late summer, early fall months and be hot at the dirt tracks and go through all the stuff that you have to go through. So, you know, this could be the rebuild race for Frank Kimmel, and definitely would like to see it.
He's going to need a great restart to stay in front of the young one, Mason Mitchell in the 6, Brennan Poole in the 25, Tom Hessert with a very strong run in the top 5, running in the 4th position, and Kevin Swindell, our most recent winner, running 5th. There you take a look at the remaining schedule. And how diverse do you have? Pocono Raceway, 2.5 miles. Berlin Raceway, under a half a mile. The Fairgrounds, a mile, but that one's dirt. Madison International Speedway, DeCoin State Fairgrounds, another dirt track. Salem Speedway, Kansas Speedway wraps it all up, another 1.5 miles.
And new pavement at Kansas Speedway, so it's going to be all new for everybody.
A great, diverse track lineup for the rest of the season, and we've got a great points battle building in the ARCA Racing Series.
Looks like we're going to get the restart with 3 to go. So this is going to be it. We talked about Brennan Poole maybe having enough for 3 laps. So he's got his 3 laps. The only problem with that is he's got to get around Mason Mitchell to be able to catch Frank.
And we've seen how difficult it is to pass. And with the limited number of laps ahead of us, is it Frank Kimmel's race?
I think it is, but if you're going to make a pass, you better do it quick.
We're about to find out. Coming out of turn number 4. Green flag back in the air. 3 laps of racing to go. Something wrong with Mason Mitchell. He drops to the inside and loses 4 spots already.
Well, there's Brennan Poole now. He's got nobody in front of him but our leader, Frank Kimmel. But he's got about 8 car lengths to make up.
Look at the 66 of Kevin Swindell coming around the outside of Tom Hessert.
Brennan Poole, Tom Hessert on the inside, and Kevin Swindell. 3 of them battling for second. A little contact is made. This time by. White flag in the air. One more time around for Kimmel.
Tommy Hessert jumps up in the 2nd spot.
That was 2 to go when they went by the stripe. Sorry about that. 2 laps to go. Down the backstretch they go. Kimmel has a 8-car length lead over Tommy Hessert, who moves up to second. Swindell into third, and then it's Mason Mitchell holding on to fourth. This time by Kimmel all the way down to the grass. White flag in the air. One more time around Lucas Oil Raceway.
Frank Kimmel saying, please no caution flags.
Kimmel working his way down the backstretch. The field fighting for positions behind him as they come through 3 and 4. The slow car of the 32 of Mason Mingus having issues, but it will be win number 75 for Frank Kimmel.
We saw how dominant early. Oh, we got the 16 in the wall coming to get the checker. We saw how dominant the 88 was earlier, and I have to think they had fairly close setups, and obviously that 44 car was the car to beat at the end of the race.
Kimmel talked earlier after the first practice, had a huge smile on his face. We were sitting under the tent as it was raining, and he said, this is a really good race car. This car is really good. Take a look at what happened with the 16, though.
See, the 32 was slow down the backstretch there, and then he squeezed it in there, made some contact with the 16 of Matt Loft, and Matt paid the price into the outside wall.
Now just 4 wins away from the top of the charts. Iggy Katona has 79, Kimmel with 75. A very familiar number has made it back to victory lane. The Messina Wildlife Animal Stopper 200 just getting the checkered flags. Let's go to victory lane. Kimmel is down there, and Ray Dunlap.
The Menards Toyota comes into victory lane right here. It has been a 75 race winless streak, and career win number 75 for Frank Kimmel comes right here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. Coming over to congratulate the team. I told you at the top of the show you might have to go through ThorSport to get the victory tonight. Frank Kimmel, man, I remember back in like 01 and 02, those years when you were winning 10 races a year. Seems like a long time ago, so tell me, how have you handled this drought of not having a victory?
Not very well. What a great day. And these guys won the race. You know, you get in great race cars like that, and eventually I knew we would get there. It just seems like it took us a long time, but what a great car all day today, and we fought battle. And my teammate obviously had everybody covered and had some kind of mechanical failure, but I got to thank everybody on the Ansel Menards team, and I got to thank Ansel Menards for sticking behind me and giving me this opportunity again to come out and show an old guy can still do it.
Welcome back. Congratulations. Kimmel back in victory lane. Jim?
Mason Mitchell gave him everything he could on that final restart. Mason, what was the difference that spun those tires up for turn 4? Was that what happened or something else?
Yeah, it was just pretty antsy, you know, this rookie mistake out there, spin the tires, and, you know, live and learn, though. I really need to thank, though, my dad for letting me do this, my mom, my whole family, everybody supporting me. It's been so cool. You know, I've never been in that position before, and that was awesome. J&S Ag Service, Make-A-Wish, having them on board, it's awesome doing stuff with the kids and everything, and having Speed TV here is cool.
The veteran beating the rookie with this young man, 2 top 10s and 2 races here in the ARCA Racing Series, guys.
Yeah, pretty good record. Finishes 10th in his first start and 5th in his second start. The Rad driver racing against drugs, Frank Kimmel, celebrating with a big smile in victory lane. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is presented by Messina Wildlife Management. Stop animal damage with Messina Wildlife Management. And by Aaron's. You don't need credit. All you need is Aaron's. How about a phenomenal run for Tom Hessert in the 52, that Federated Auto Parts race car finishing up in the 2nd spot. Let's hear from him with Jim.
Well, Tom, I talked to your car owner, Kenny Schrader, earlier today. He said, we have a car, we have to put a car together capable of winning. You ran it the 2nd. Talk about your night.
Yeah, we had a really solid night. Our Federated Auto Parts Chevy was good, and Kenny and the guys gave us a good car today. We worked at it in practice. It wasn't the best, and started the race. We were a little free, and then got it too tight, and then got it back where we were decent. So you know, the 6 car had a rough restart there, I guess, on the last one, and we were able to get a couple spots out of it, and it got pretty wild there with a couple to go in turn 3, but it worked out in our favor. So it was a good day, proud of the guys, and happy to be back in the top 5.
Nice run to 2nd, Tom. Ray?
The Curb Records Toyota went to victory lane last time at Chicago. You got a 3rd tonight. How did you do it?
We weren't bad, you know. We just we got off sequence and had it pretty much the dead-on strategy, and just had a little issue with the 32. It knocked his bumper cover off, caused their own yellow, and kind of killed our strategy there. But heck of a comeback, fixing the fender, and wish we had another 10 laps. We might have could have got there.
Okay, good run tonight for Kevin Swindell. The 66 finishes third, guys.
Unofficial results scrolling across the top of the screen. We'll take another look at them. Busher Poole, those are the point standings. 20 points separate your top two. Kimmel just 65 out now.
Gonna be tough to beat him here in the summer stretch, the next couple races. So definitely a great run by those guys. And I know those Thor Sport guys are really, really proud of being down there and standing on the victory lane podium.
Yeah, Frank Kimmel has won on 6 of the remaining 7 tracks left on the schedule.
He's got to be feeling pretty good with those remaining tracks left. Thanks, Justin Allgaier, for joining us here in the booth. Next up, Formula One debrief.